Hey team, let me start by saying thank you for coming out on Sunday night and just hanging out and hearing the big news that we are officially looking for space. I did have a few questions that came up that night, and so I just kind of wanted to answer them and share them with you all today on this video. So hopefully if you had questions, let's answer them. If not, we'll talk about that at the end. So one of the first questions that was asked was when are we hoping to get into this space? And it's a great question. So the timeline is this. In October and November, we'll officially announce the campaign. And the goal is for an 11-month campaign. And our hope and what we're praying for is to be into a space by summer or fall of 2020. Ideally, we'd like it for it to be sooner, but with us having some issues looking and finding space, our real estate agent said the reality is probably fall. And so our hope is that we celebrate our 3rd birthday in our own space. Another question that got brought up a few times was, can we talk with other people about this? The answer is no. We prefer if you didn't say anything about it yet, just keep it within the team. We don't really want to start having conversations with people outside of the team who don't fully understand what you understand when it comes to the vision of this church and where this church is going. So try to keep it on the DL as much as you can, so that when we announce it, it's a big surprise and a really big thing. Another question that was asked was just about regular giving at Collective right now. Rachel mentioned it, but one of the things that really took Collective to the next level was people who set up recurring giving. In our Unleashed series, we saw a lot of people give for the first time, but really the best thing that happened to us through that series were people who either gave online or maybe even gave on Sunday, who set up recurring giving. And I don't fully understand why. I have some assumption as to why that made a big difference, but that made the biggest difference in our giving over the past year. And so if you are someone that writes that check out, or if you go online and log in every single time, one of the best ways that you could grow and take that next step in your giving and in trusting God in that is to set up recurring. I think it has to do with the fact that even those of us who have the best intentions of writing that check every week or every other week, whenever it is, we often forget. And I shared that in one of the sermons in November about how I used to do that, and I'd forget, and 2 checks, I don't want to do 2 checks, so I just write one. But that's a big step for you if you're in that place. And so, for those of you who are there, that's one of the best ways you can do it. Set up recurring. For those of you who are about to take the step to give for the first time, one of the best things that you can do is set up recurring. Not just do it whenever you feel like it or when it's there, but really trust God, who says it comes to him first. Another question that got asked was about my fundraising. We used to mention this all the time when we took up an offering, and now that we don't, I don't mention it anymore. But people ask, am I still fundraising? And the answer is yes. Such a big piece of this church is setting it up for success. And so I've continued to fundraise a quarter of my salary this year. My goal is a quarter of my salary next year, and I'm just going to keep doing that because I think it provides relief. And I think that's what's best for us. Talking about the campaign, a few quick questions that were asked on Sunday is, someone asked when we give to the campaign, should it be monthly or one-time gift? And realistically, that's up to you. And I'm going to go into more detail in November about challenging people to do that. But realistically, the decision ends up being yours. We've had people already who have given large one-time gifts because of a circumstance in their life, a bonus, or they sold a house, that kind of thing. I know for me personally, my wife and I, just to be honest, we'll set up monthly, but we've also decided that when our tax return comes, that we're going to give 10% of that to the campaign. So we're going to kind of do both, but realistically, that's up to you. And the other question that was asked is, we mentioned those numbers of if everybody that at Collective that gave $1,800, we'd be there. Or if everyone at Collective in general, even if you give or don't give, if everyone gave $1,100, we would be there. Just so you know, we did that just so you know, and that this isn't a scary number. $250,000 sounds like a lot, but when you really break it down, it's really easy. But the biggest thing is this: we're not asking everyone for equal giving. That's just not a reality, but we're asking for equal sacrifice. I think that's why God asks us for a tithe, for 10%, because 10% for me versus someone else, it all looks different, but the sacrifice is the same. So the biggest ask of all with this is that we all just decide to sacrifice equally. And so for some of you who are working part-time jobs, the amount might be lower, but the sacrifice is going to be high. And for people where there's dual income or there's no debt because you've been through FBU, all those things, the sacrifice and the giving will be higher, but the sacrifice will be the same, right? The giving will be higher, but the sacrifice will be the same. And so the main thing is I just think as a group, we just decide, let's all take that step and let's sacrifice equally. Let's stretch, let's be pushed, and let's see what God can do. God has never disappointed us. He has never let us down anytime we took a big step. And so this is the next one. Those were the main questions that were asked to me on Sunday. But if you have more, please email Tabby at tabby@mycollective.church. And she'll either answer them or set up a time for you and I to talk on a Sunday morning. And then just know as we go into the fall, we'll talk about this a lot during the series. And I'm actually going to attend each collective to answer questions because we know giving is hard. But we're just so thankful for those of you who do it and who have already done it. I really want to challenge those of you who aren't giving that this is not something that collective is asking, but this is something God asks us to do. And so this is a faith thing for you. And so my challenge to you is, do you have that faith? God's really clear about it. And I know it's frustrating and I know we don't like it. And I know oftentimes I hear I give my time, but it's just not biblical. God doesn't ask us to tithe time. That's just an expectation. But God does ask us to give financially. So as you wrestle with this, reach out to us, pray about it. We don't expect anybody to take a step now, although we have seen a few of you do that, and thank you all so much. I promise you, as you stretch your faith, you'll see God show up in incredible ways. So thank you guys for everything. Excited for this next season at Collective.